The Dershow.
The problem is the administration has to figure out a way of targeting defunding, and making it clear that, yes, we're going to give research grants to cure cancer and reduce diabetes and Alzheimer's. Yeah, we're going to do all that. We're not going to take that away from you unless you aren't real scientists, unless you're introducing DEI as criteria for who to hire to try to cure cancer. You're not going to cure cancer with DEI. You're going to cure cancer with meritocracy. So that very, very important to target the defunding. Again, for me, the question is Harvard defend or defund, and I would do both. I would defend Harvard's right to get grants for public interest scientific research, but I would defund efforts to try to have places like the Carr Center or other advocacy centers that have little or nothing to do with academics or the public interest. So that's the challenge. That's hard. And the other challenge is, if you're the president of Harvard, and Alan Garber is a very decent guy and a very good president, you have many constituencies to answer to. Your left constituency, your constituency that's woke and progressive and virulently anti-Israel, is going to demand that you resist Trump no matter how much it costs the university, because they don't care about cancer research. On the other hand, you'll have moderates on the faculty that'll say, wait a minute, let's sit down and try to negotiate this. And so the university administration, with its corporation, its board of this, board of that, the corporation is headed by pretty woke, progressive, left-wing people as well. And so you have pulls and tugs in different directions. In the end, the best interest of Harvard and the best interest of the United States and the best interest of the Trump administration would be to compromise, to negotiate, to settle. And I think part of Harvard wants to do that. That's why it retained two lawyers who are settlers, who are negotiators, and who are close to the Trump administration. They sent a very powerful and important message to sit down with us. Don't overstate the importance of that public letter that we wrote, because the letter, of course, was written for the faculty, and it's gotten tremendous support from the faculty and from faculties all over the country. Harvard is the hero, even though many of the things they did were wrong, and many of the things they're now doing to try to overcome what they did in the past are right. And there are faculty members who would say to Harvard, continue the move toward meritocracy if you can. Continue the move away from DEA. Continue the move away from institutes like the Carr Center. But don't do it because the Trump administration made you do it. Do it because it's the right thing to do. Harvard had a chance to do that. And it did move in the right direction in some instances. It was better than other schools. It settled two lawsuits brought by Jewish students and agreed to certain principles which many faculty members disagreed with. And did the Trump administration give Harvard enough time and enough flexibility to try to do it on its own? No, I don't think so. I think that it would have been better if the administration had said to Harvard, look, let's sit and negotiate for 6 months. Now, there may have been a slip here. There's some theory and some data to support the theory that the letter that was sent to Harvard was sent precipitously, that maybe it wasn't intended to be sent to Harvard, maybe it, and the letter that Harvard sent back, both seemed overly provocative. And when you have a negotiation, usually it takes two forms. There are the public statements, macho, we're not settling, we'll never give in. And then there are the behind the scenes settlement negotiations. I know I've participated in some of them. You get on the courthouse steps and you say, this is a matter of principle, we'll never give in. And then 2 hours later, you're sitting down and negotiating and trying to see where the other side has some willingness to move. Look, in the end, this case is going to be settled. In the end, this will not get to the Supreme Court. I don't think. I think in the end, wiser minds will prevail. If it gets to the Supreme Court, I'm going to make a prediction. Harvard will lose for the most part. The president of Columbia, who's a constitutional law expert, Lee Bollinger, he predicted that Harvard would win. I don't think he's right. Time will tell. Others have been advising Harvard that they will win. I would not give them that advice. They might, and they will win some procedural battles, but the big war as to whether you're obliged to continue to fund a university with a $53 billion endowment, that is not a winning issue, either in the court of law or in the court of public opinion. The tax exemption issue, there is a case right on point, Bob Jones. Unless the Supreme Court overrules that case, which it could do, you never know, or unless Harvard can demonstrate to the satisfaction of the IRS, and who has burdens on this are very, very unclear, that they don't discriminate against Jewish or Asian students. I think they still do. They will be in danger of losing their tax deferment. And will the Supreme Court really tell universities, or will the Supreme Court tell administrations and the State Department that they have to give visas to any students who want to come study at Harvard? I don't think so. So I don't think this is a winning strategy for Harvard and other universities. It may be a winning strategy with the faculty at Harvard. It may be a winning strategy even with the students and with some administrators. But in the end, I think both in the court of law and in the court of public opinion, the risk that Harvard will lose more than it wins is very considerable. So if they ask my 60-year experience as a lawyer, I'd say negotiate, settle, resolve this thing, give in on some, don't give in on others, compromise on thirds, do what is done so often in cases involving equally important issues. And this is a very important issue. So let's see where it goes. I'm interested in this because all the things I'm interested in, free speech, First Amendment, discrimination against Jews, and Harvard University, where I've spent my life for the last 60 years, all are at stake there.